What's going on? Appreciate you for tuning in. Hopefully, you enjoy this one. Check out some other content. Make sure you go ahead, hit the like, follow, subscribe, leave a review if you're on the audio side. Uh, Hopefully, you'll enjoy your 4th of July. Be safe, obviously. I want to talk about Brad Stevens and some of the insight he gave into the Celtics' approach for next season. So after the first round pick of Hugo Gonzalez, Brad Stevens did a press conference where he kept reiterating that the Celtics need to become a team that plays with pace. He said stagnation was the reason for the Celtics' loss against the Knicks. If you look at games 1 and 2 where they had the big leads, yeah, you could say stagnation led to the offense kind of failing and allowed the Knicks to chip away and then eventually win those games late, which they win those 2 games. That series probably goes vastly differently. And the Celtics are probably moving on to the conference finals where who knows what would have happened. Obviously, the Tatum injury, all that, we already know. We know. So with that, because he kept saying it over and over, pace, 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 pace. I decided to look at the numbers to see like how bad was the Celtics pace really. If you didn't know, in the regular season, the Celtics were dead last in pace. They were 32nd. I can tell you that the Thunder and Pacers were 6th and 11th, respectively. So I guess I can understand it. It's a copycat league. He looked at those 2 teams and was like, how can we be more like that if that's where this new NBA is trending? So now, even though the Celtics were last, they did make the playoffs. So then looking at the playoff teams, the Celtics were 14th out of 16 playoff teams. Once again, Thunder and the Pacers were second and third among playoff teams in pace. Oddly enough, the Grizzlies were number 1 in pace in the regular season and number 1 pace in the playoffs, but that didn't work out for them because they were a team in turmoil, firing the coach, the Ja Morant distraction and all that kind of stuff. So they're obviously the outlier in this. So I kind of understand why, Brad is looking to get into the pace and space game, which I feel like the Celtics played the space part of it. Pace, not so much. And also, true shooting percentage wise, Thunder and Pacers were 2 of the best teams in the league as well. True shooting percentage, if you don't know, it's one of those analytics that analytical stats that take into account your field goal percentage, free throw percentage, 3-point percentage, and gives you an overall shooting percentage, which really lets you know offensive efficiency for a team. Obviously, it's the name of the game. You got to score points. So not only did the Pacers and the Thunder play with pace, they were also really good in terms of true shooting percentage, which Celtics are actually pretty good at it as well. So if you're going to play with more pace, then the Celtics have to get more, I guess, athletic and younger. And, Porzingis isn't old, but the injuries, the health, and everything with him, the price tag, second apron. Once again, I've talked about that before. You understand that move. The Drew Holiday part of it, he's 35 years old. He's getting up there. You understand that. Looking at free agency, which has been crazy, and I do think some teams in the East have positioned themselves pretty well. I like what Orlando's doing. This may surprise you. I like what the Hawks are doing. I'm interested to see, how the Hawks perform next season. They made some good additions. Like the Hawks seem to be trying to go the Pacers route. Milwaukee. They waive Dame Lillard. I did not see that coming. They get Miles Turner. They needed a big. Dame Lillard obviously is going to be an interesting story to watch. which reportedly the Celtics are interested in Dame Lillard. Now, the Celtics, if they were to go after Dame Lillard, they could only offer him the minimum, all that good stuff. That's not what this is about. So I'm just throwing that out there. But when I look at what the Celtics have done during this offseason, I kind of see how it plays under Brad Stevens' idea of improving the pace with this team. Now, Tatum not there will, obviously affect maybe their ability. But when you look at Jaylen Brown is a guy that plays really well out in transition. So maybe it's Brad identifying that Jaylen Brown is going to be the guy next season, putting a team around him to make it somewhat successful. Now, the names aren't big names. But look, Phoenix tried to build their team off of big names. How did that go? I feel like if you just get the right talent together, they play the right way, you can win in this league, obviously. Look at the Pacers. Do the Pacers have a bunch of superstars? No. Halliburton's a star. I think Siakam is a star as long as he's not your number one option. He wasn't in Indiana. He played really well. Guys like Matherin, McConnell, even a Turner. I don't think Turner is a star in this league. Turner was a role player. So I feel like there's obviously more than one way to skin a cat, as they say, to win in this league. But I understand what Brad is trying to do. So when you look at Hugo Gonzalez in the first round, he's a guy, if you watch Real Madrid highlights and all that, constantly moving off the ball, constantly getting into those spaces to, put himself in position, offensive boards. He's, chase down blocks, like recovery blocks, all that kind of stuff. Like, I get it. Amari Williams is a guy who, can facilitate your offense from the big man position. Think like Jokic. When you watch Denver play, a lot of movement happens around Jokic, and he's looking for guys cutting to the rim, those cuts either being available to him or collapsing the defense and kicking it out to guys on the perimeter. I understand the pick. Shoga's a guy who can flat out shoot it. So you get it. Simon's the guy who can shoot. Niang can shoot. Now, in terms of that was the trades and the draft, Garza, Minot from Minnesota aren't flashy names. Unless you're an Iowa basketball fan where Luke Garza was like a player of the year player over there, his NBA career hasn't been great. He's been stuck on a good Minnesota team, stuck behind good front court players. So he just hasn't had the opportunity. Same with Minot. But Minot is like 6'8", long arms, can get out in transition. So I don't hate this signing. I'm interested to see what he could do with a bigger role. Same with Garza. Garza has like some Hartenstein into his game. He's a willing three-point shooter, doesn't shoot it at the best percentage, but I think with some coaching up, he could be like a 33, 34% three-point shooter, I think. So, like I said, not the flashiest signings. And I think that's where, some Celtics fans needed to understand that was not going to happen in this offseason because this team does not want to operate above the second apron for another season to do repeater taxes and all this kind of stuff when they know Tatum is out. And I'm, heard some people talk about, well, if the team's really good, Tatum could be back like February, March. I don't think the Celtics should operate like that. Operate like Tatum is not playing at all next season. And look, I'm also one of those Celtics fans. I don't need the team to win a title every year for me to be happy with them. I don't know. I think I might be in a weird spot where I'm actually intrigued to see how next season goes with so many guys just unproven. I would love to see a team just running and flying up and down the court for 82 games and see where that leads them. Brown can do it. White can do it. White can also, in a system like that, take a lot of, trail 3-pointers that are open. I think he'd be really good at that. So I don't know. I would love to know from you all, like, what do you think about the moves that Brad's made, the direction of the team? Do you think this is the right way to go about it with Tatum being out? I mean, I'm hearing about, people talking about the draft next year being, uh, I guess, better than this year or whatever. But anyway, bottom line is the team now sits at $208.5 million, which is $700,000 over the second apron. So we're kind of back to where we were at the beginning of the offseason, except for they're not as far over the second apron as they were when they had to move Porzingis and Holiday. So $700,000, that could be, made up in a very minor move in terms of like Jordan Walsh, JD Davison, Xavier Tillman. They all make $2.5 million or less. You move one of them, you're under the second apron, and now Brad could do, a deal of 2 or more players. Because now that they're over the second apron, they're gonna have to do a move of a single player to get under. So you move one of them for like some future second round pick. You're now back in operation under the second apron. I feel like I feel like you've probably heard other people talk about these aprons and all this stuff so many times. I'm just gonna let you know the guidelines, right? So there's 700,000 over the second apron. The first apron caps at 195.9 million. The luxury tax number is 187.9 million, and then the actual salary cap is 154.6 million. Even though that will go up next season, obviously. Like the cap's been going up for the last few years, it's going to continue that way. I think where a lot of maybe Celtics fans and media are wondering, like, okay, so they're cutting costs. Like, we understand that to get out of the second apron, but like, how much slashing are they trying to do? Like I said, if you get under the second apron, that's cool and all. But then, like, if you need to make a move in season, now you're worrying about possibly going back over it again. I think where the Celtics want to be is like hovering around the first apron, if not just the luxury tax. Then next season, you do what you have to, add a little bit more. But I think they're going to want to stay under the second apron as well next season. So that's why I feel like they're bringing in so many of these unproven guys to see who sticks, like who becomes part of the next wave of the Celtics surrounding Tatum, Brown, and White. Also Pritchard. Like, you got to throw Pritchard into that group. So expect Brad's next move to be, probably some minor news that happens surrounding Tillman, Davison, or Walsh. Tillman, maybe because there aren't enough big men on the roster right now. Maybe he's safe for now. Maybe. But if they move like Davison or Walsh, I would hate to see either one go. Like, I like the potential in Walsh, but it's like the more you look at it, Walsh might be Minot could be a better version of Walsh right now, only because Walsh hasn't had a lot of opportunities either. And then Davison, I'd be interested to see Davison as like a depth point guard, what he could do with the Celtics team, but because of the numbers, he might be attractive to some team out there. So if they move one of those, then now you could look at another move dealing with Hauser's 10 million or Niang's 8.2 million, or maybe Brad, packages the both of them to get probably some cost efficient big. Which if he does that, now you're looking at a team that was worried about second apron. You pull those two moves off, you would be under the first apron and then just a luxury tax team I guess depending on what he brought back in that. But I think that's kind of the sweet spot for this team. And the thing that might keep Hauser around, I guess, maybe Shireman's performance in the summer league. Like if Shireman goes out summer league and balls out after he played pretty decently last season when given opportunities, he might make Hauser expendable. Niang, I kind of feel like Niang gets moved anyway. So let's just say Niang is moved on top of, Davison or Walsh. That's a 10.4 million off right there. That actually gets you below the first apron as well. So maybe Hauser is now safe. You go Niang and Davison or Walsh, you move them out for maybe a young big that's sitting behind a bunch of guys somewhere, and that's what you operate with next season. I think the more and more I think about it, I think Hauser is going to stay. I think I just talked myself into that. I mean, I would love to know what you think about that. Look, Niang just seems like the guy that doesn't need to be here. I think Hauser has a role. So yeah, Niang and Davison or Walsh. I mean, hey, package all three of them. I don't know, but that would get you under the first apron, and now you're just a luxury tax team. So I think that's what Brad's going to do. Wouldn't be shocked by it. I think next season will just be it'll be kind of fun to watch a team that doesn't have the pressure of winning a title. At least for me, I will enjoy watching that and hoping one of these young guys takes that step. Whether it is a Minot, like I said, I've watched videos on all of these. Minot seems intriguing. I want to see it. Luka Garza, probably less so interesting, but he's got some ability. I kind of want to see what the Celtics can bring out of him. I also think, not even to gloss over this might mean Simons is part of the plans next season. And I got to tell you, I'm kind of excited to see that. So yes, we might be back to obviously pre 2024. Remember like the time between 2024 and 2008, there was a lot of experimenting. I think we're kind of back there, except for it's not going to take that long as it did back then. Like I think this is a year for the team to test out some stuff, see what works, and then implement Tatum back into it. Because I think the good thing with Tatum is he's a superstar in this league that doesn't need to just play one way. So if they play a faster game, I think Tatum will do really well in that. And I think that's where the intrigue for next season is. That's maybe that's just me. So also one last thing before I get out of here. There was some speculation about Hugo Gonzalez and whether or not he was going to play in the summer league. So I saw the little video where Gonzalez, Williams, and Shoga like had their formal introductions to the Celtics, in that arena with all the kids and everything. And Hugo said he wants to play in the summer league because I think I believe there's like a World Cup type thing this summer where like Porzingis will be playing for Latvia, so Hawks fans will be watching that. And the thought was Gonzalez was going to go play for Spain. I believe the competition overlaps with Summer League, and Gonzalez said he wants to play in the Summer League, so I don't know. We'll see. I would love to see it. Look, for not knowing who he is, I kind of want to see what the kid's got. He's 19 years old. He may flash to the Summer League, and I think some Celtics fans might feel a little better about the pick. Not that they feel bad about it, they just don't know who he is. So it would be good to kind of understand a little bit better about him. But yeah, that's all I got for you. So when you're looking at the rest of the offseason, even though I think the Celtics may be done for the most part outside of something really minor, but just keep this in the back of your mind when you watch the Celtics next season. Brad Stevens wants pace. I'm kind of here for it. Like I said, let me know what you think in the comments. Um, Also, I will add that I'm actually doing a article or blog, whatever you want to call it, on this, on the whole pace and space and what correlation that is in terms of winning and success in the NBA. So look out for that. I'll link the Tumblr where I put that stuff up there. Link the Discord if you want to talk some more sports with me. Feel free to join it and let's have some fun. So thanks again for coming through. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, leave a review. Anything helps with the algorithm. So appreciate all of you. Once again, be safe over the 4th of July. I will, well, I should be uh, on the channel. So YouTube, Facebook, I am allowed to go live on Facebook again, and TikTok as well. Finally gained access over there. Lost it, got it back, whatever. You don't care about the details, but look out for that on Friday. Passion and Precision with my co-host Jory. Then Sunday. This is tentative, so don't hold me to it, but the U.S. will be playing Mexico in the Gold Cup final. I haven't done a watch long in I don't know how long. I have been wanting to do one for a while, but just haven't been able to. The plan is to go live US Mexico on Sunday. I believe the game is at 7. So look out for that as well on the channel. So I guess if you are an audio listener normally, you're going to have to go and subscribe to YouTube, follow uh, the show on Facebook or TikTok, because I will stream those there. So that's all I got for you. Be safe. God bless. And I'll see you next time. All right. Bye.